if you're getting solo kills just naturally off your laners, the game should be over in 15 minutes.
Well, there's that Lee Sin ban. Xiaopeng, you do not get to do that one again, my friend, as LNG. Now, I'm pretty sure they banned Lee Sin in the first game of the series, but I'm pretty sure it was not aimed at Xiaopeng, right? It was a solo lane Lee Sin ban. They let it through in game number 2. It didn't even go to the solo lanes. It was just like Xiaopeng wanted to bring a bit of style to the LPL. So back to those top lane bans for LNG. No more shenanigans from Xiaopeng on this one. And the Lulu instantly locked in for patch. We got a Lulu Cogmore to contend with.
Yeah, so I think honestly, more than Lulu Cogmore, the thing I would be concerned about is Lulu Xin Zhao. Because we talked about mid-jungle combos for Xiaopeng. And those two are a really strong duo. So you see, instantly it's picked up by the side of TT, and LNG have to respond. You have to take the Xin Zhao. You can't allow that combo to go through. But one of the concerns with Xin Zhao is that there are champions who clear fat. Although, I mean, I'm saying that we were getting a Rek'Sai coming out from the side of TT.
All right. Look, here's what's happening. I'll take the color position for a second here. I'll break this down. Xiaopeng is taking things into his own hands. He doesn't have time for lanes carrying. He doesn't have time for what's meta right now. He's playing the jungle carries. We got a Rek'Sai. I'm praying he goes for the Prowler's Claw. Bill goes full lethality and just starts one-shotting people again.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I vibe with it. I think Prowler's Claw is really good with them as well, as you can sort of dash through someone when you're unburrowed, and you can gank and be so aggressive with this pick. Such a gank-heavy jungler to sort of try and find those windows. Now, Kalista, I think we saw it in that game 1 against Ezreal, applied a lot of pressure in lane, and a little bit tricky, honestly, for the Rek'Sai to deal with. If you're not getting underneath, you are just going to get kited. But it does give a lot of power in those skirmishes to LNG. A bit of a return to that sort of game 1 game plan. Now, I think because TT have picked the Ezreal, we can expect this Lulu to go into a solo lane. I don't think Ezreal Lulu is really the lane you sort of look to pair up. So still options to consider with regards to what they want patch on. And again, big thing as well with game 2 is they gave him sort of like a melee engage support. LNG instantly going to ban out Leona.
All right, so the Kalista was locked in, the Leona ban as well as that. Sorry, and I want to quickly mention, while we're going through these bans, I want to bring up a statistic for you here, Mr. Rorks, because Xiaopeng is no stranger to the Rek'Sai. It's his second most played champion, right behind Lee Sin. Lee Sin's sat at 42 games, Rek'Sai at 40. This will be his 41st. He has a 62.5% win rate on the Rek'Sai. That's 25 to 15. And the reason I want to highlight that stat is because Xiaopeng has been on a lot of bad teams, okay? He's had a lot of losing records on these teams, and he still has an over 60% win rate on Rek'Sai. That shows how great he is at this champion.
Yeah, I mean, with a Lulu to back him up, you can play really aggressive on the champion. You have that support to follow you in those plays. Now, LNG thinking about what to pick here. I think a flex pick ideally comes in pretty well, but honestly, Set stands out as something good. But after the game we just had, I'm not so sure you really want Icon necessarily playing the Set in this situation. They are going to lock it in. Still does offer that flexibility, so can go up towards the top lane. Now, TT, I think honestly for patch, I could see something like the Rakan coming out here. It solidifies the Ezreal as a safe bot lane, and it allows pretty good engage potential, because with the quickness, it's very easy to lock down that Kalista, who's obviously hopping around. The other Braum is actually a good alternative. Similar amount of safety, good into the Nautilus. So I kind of like these identities for patch coming out, and they give them a good lane. It does confirm it's going to be a Lulu solo lane. Personally, I expect this to probably be a Lulu mid. I think syncs up the best. So kind of need to see what Longxing comes out with in the top lane. I think Gwen potentially is an option. It is available.
And it feels like he's going to be counterpicked, right? Whatever he locks in, it's going to be Ale with the last pick. You expect the Icon will go with the Set mid once again, as he's got a really easy matchup against that Lulu. We'll see what the counterpick is going to be here, because if Ale gets a good matchup and can just take over, the game will end. But actually, maybe some mid pick is this last one, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I like it, honestly. I think Icon didn't have the best set game. Give that to Ale in the top lane. He's against a Volibear. He's going to be completely fine. And maybe pick something that's going to cause issues. Actually, seen the Xerath come out.
All right, we've got a Rek'Sai. We got a Xerath. This game is spicy, Orgs.
So a big thing with the Xerath is obviously scales really well, super long range poke, and this composition from TT outside of the Ezreal is pretty short range, and it is good at contesting waves. But the problem is it can't really roam that effectively. At level 6 you have your ult, but you really struggle to move around, because if you get caught, especially by a Rek'Sai coming over the wall, you're going to be in trouble. So I'm actually a little bit concerned about this one, because I think if TT go with this mid-jungle strength again, they should actually just be able to take over this early game once more and put themselves in another situation where they can just be in the driving seat. And then when it comes to those later game situations, there may be a concern with getting on the Xerath, but we saw last game that they've picked up a lot of strength with regards to closing games out.
Let's see if it's going to be good enough for TT. We're going into game 3 here, Dan, between TT and LNG. And that is a sentence I did not expect to say in 2021. But here we are. The first place team looking to continue their streak here after losing a game in game number 2 here against TT. But TT, if they could win this, this would be the upset, honestly, of the century at this point. The first versus 17th. I'm struggling to picture it. I still don't believe, but I know that you're becoming a believer, Dan. I know you're a believer in Xiaopeng. He's got the comfort pick of the Rek'Sai, and we'll see if the Rek'Sai Lulu combo, if this setup squad will be enough for Xiaopeng to carry TT to a victory in LNG's own arena.
That would be quite the statement after a rough start of the split. Definitely a way to get your summer kick started. We'll have to see if they're able to execute. I think the big thing you want to be watching is what Xiaopeng can do in this early game and the pressure you can apply. Because I feel the big limiting factor for Tarzan is that mid lane pick. The Xerath, not too good in these skirmishes. And more than anything, this has been a very skirmish-focused meta. So I think TT should be looking to have the edge there. And it's really down to LNG to try and stabilize the game, play off their strong bot lane, and then hopefully look to come back in the later team fights.
And I have to say, when I was prepping for today, when I was looking through the meta picks, when I was looking through what's popular, Rek'Sai and Xerath were not two of the champions that I anticipated seeing in the draft today. This is not how I thought this was going to go. Even Lulu mid is kind of out there, right? We've seen it a little bit in the meta, but it's certainly not a big popular pick here. Definitely feels like a weird composition out from LNG, but again, Icon having the counter pick. This is a lane where he can really have a lot of dominance. What we've seen in this series, Xiaopeng is more than happy to go towards the mid lane. He's more than happy to gank Icon. So we do have to keep our eyes on that mid lane and see how well Icon does with pushing the wave without overextending.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that you get caught out by one gank, you're probably going to lose your flash and then still maybe die. And then from then on, you're just an easy target and you're essentially locked to your turret. And I think, speaking of flashes, the big thing with the Rek'Sai is the power of his flash knockup. It's so good at just sort of delivering on these ganks. And I feel like his first gank that he sort of uses that flash on is probably going to be his most effective. So I'm looking where he wants to apply that pressure. If it is in the mid lane, obviously he could easily take out this Xerath, but definitely has options across the map.
Now, I want to point out as well that Xiaopeng does have Conqueror here as a pretty big trade up in the top side there. Going to be going neutral. There's Lancheng or Crash's Wave. Conqueror for Rek'Sai. Generally speaking, I'd imagine that means he's going to go for something maybe like a Stride Breaker or a Gore Drink or something along those lines, as opposed to the lethality build. Usually it's Hail of Blades if you are going full assassin. But I could be wrong. I'm by no means an expert on that Rek'Sai, so we'll have to wait and see what he does go for in terms of that build. But what are you expecting here from Tarzan? Knowing he's up against Rek'Sai, what should the game plan be here for LNG?
I think you can lean quite heavily into the bot lane, potentially even looking for a map split, because you have so much strength on your bot side of the map in the 2v2. You can see them trading heavily here. You can comfortably lean on this, and should there be a situation where you want to TP, RLA in, potentially Icon can move just a little bit to fire an ult down, you can look for a dive a little bit later in the game once Icon has that level 6 point. So I think that's what you want to try and do, just force hard through the bot lane and make that a sore point for TT, because as much as in that game 2 they managed to stabilize and well, not even stabilize, they managed to hold out okay, we've definitely seen the bot lane of TT being a point that you can punish with those extra member dives.
We're going to see an early recall come out from Ye. He has himself some boots, he has a corrupting potion, and he has a Doran's ring, so that'll make the laning phase a little bit easier. A lot of mana sustain right there. With those 3 potion stacks, 2 biscuits, and the passive of Doran's ring, Ye can pretty much sit in that mid lane all day long just pushing away. Whereas Icon, not opted to recall just yet, still has his TP available, could go for a recall himself after he's able to reset the wave, and we'll see what items he's going to go for. But wouldn't be too surprised to see something like an early Dark Seal out from Icon, because on the Xerath, generally speaking, you're going to be playing from a position where you're very safe, very far back from the fight.
Yeah, I mean, the ideal scenario is that you're not going down, you're not dying. The Dark Seal, obviously, a lot of value. Should be able to maintain those stacks if you're playing it safe. And I think another thing to talk about is the sheer amount of wave clear. It was kind of actually lacking in the last game. We saw, you know, the set mid. If he wants to clear a wave, he has to get up close and personal. In terms of stalling a game out, the Xerath's really effective as that, as he can just laser through the waves pretty endlessly. And it's going to put a bit more burden, because if you remember what happened last game, we saw the outer towers taken down. I'm going to hold that point, because this might be that window.
Here we go. Xiaopeng's moving in. Patch is here as well. We've got a mid lane dive potentially about to happen at 5 minutes into the game, but it doesn't go through. They don't know where Tarzan is, and it felt like Tarzan knew this was coming. That is insanely, like, the presence of mind from Tarzan to know that this is a potential play. Look at him, stood there behind the tier 2 turret in mid, behind the tier 1 turret in mid, sorry. Iwandi moving into the jungle. LNG know exactly what is up and will be able to clear the vision away. Man, LNG, they're reading TT like a book.
Yeah, I think the absence of the Braum in bot lane was really the thing that sort of set this off. They knew if Braum's leaving the lane, it's probably because he's roaming towards mid. They actually had sort of a little bit of vision, just so they had a kind of rough idea. You can see that ward that just timed out, that was in the river brush. So they kind of had an area at least where Patch wasn't, and you can deduce that, okay, he's in my jungle. They're possibly going to look for a dive, and then Tarzan knew, if I walk in here, I'm dying. So very patient, very good play from LNG. And again, they may not be the best aggressive early game team, but they are very good at shutting down play attempts for the most part.
Yeah, and an early pickaxe from both of our junglers here as they look towards getting their first items here. And we talked about it before. This Kalista versus Ezreal down in the bottom side often means that the early Drakes can be stacked up for whichever team has the Kalista. You can always get the priority in that bottom lane. And Icon waiting with that TP, allowing him to go for a lost chapter on his first recall with that Dark Seal that we talked about as well. You can see, has had to go for the Merc Treads as his first item. So already a very significant advantage in that mid lane when it comes to the threat that those two players are going to bring to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it does confirm, I mean, especially if you've seen the Iron Spike whip, this is going to be a Gornerinker on the Rek'Sai. And I think, but the Lulu's role will be just primarily buffing that up, making that strong. And with the Conqueror, you should actually have quite a bit of longevity in these skirmishes. Speaking of skirmishes, honestly, I've been impressed with Longsheng this series. I had a lot of criticism. I watched through the previous games. I was not impressed. There's a lot of situations where he left himself out to dry and he put himself in scenarios where he was easily ganked. But so far, he's been trading well with Ale and he's been holding up pretty solidly. And considering Ale is someone who we had a lot of hype for, you know, there's a lot of scenarios where he's finding solo kills or advantages, and feels like he's been matched pretty heavily in this series so far.
Yeah, I will say Ale has been receiving a lot of bans across the course of this series. His Camille being banned every single game. Obviously, Camille well. Definitely his signature. I would say the Akali is more towards Icon, as we maybe have a fight here. Xiaopeng will be able to bury himself under the ground, dig his way through the river, and back out into his own jungle, so he'll be fine in the end. I will say, just quickly, Tarzan, pretty impressive to be even in farm right now against a Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai, one of these champions that can clear the jungle exceptionally quickly, which Xin Zhao, not generally speaking, what you know that pick for. So good stuff so far from Tarzan to be able to keep pace with the Rek'Sai.
Yeah, I mean, this is fine so far. A pretty slow early game will favor LNG, and they're pretty happy to lean into this, but I will say the mid game of TT is pretty strong. A lot of 2-item spikes, 1-item spikes that really pay dividends for them. Now, Xiaopeng has started up this Herald, but there are a lot of members at LNG to contest, so we may get a first team fight coming out.
Here we go. Light moving up as well. You can see him just passing through mid lane right now. Samdi and yeah are here. There's a hook on Samdi, the perfect target. Wild Growth and an E to get himself out to safety. Iwandy just waiting on the cooldown of his hook. Light could be in trouble. Bit of an awkward position for him as the siege damage comes out from Icon. Herald will reset, and LNG have at least stopped the attempt right now, but they look like they want a little bit more. Ale up on the top side. Does have Showstopper available if he can find a flank, but I think both teams will disengage for now.
Yeah, and again, LNG happy with that one. At bare minimum, they've delayed the Herald, so potentially offers them a window to move in and contest. As you can see, TT actually pulled back to handle their waves, and now LNG will move back in and start this one up. And it's now on TT to respond and try and push in on this one. And I certainly think they will. They're confident with that Lulu and Braum. They have a lot of skirmishing power. Although, as I'm saying that, a lot of poke came out there from Icon. Yeah. I think they might have to give this one up.
And that's one of the things, right? When you're against this, hang on, Ale, it should be fine, right? But he can maybe turn this one around himself. The flash Showstopper onto Xiaopeng. He will bury himself away, though. Iwandy gets blocked by a minion on the hook. And in the end, the play can't happen. Good attempt there from Ale, but this Rek'Sai, she is a slippery beast.
Yeah, and honestly, good patience from Xiaopeng. Didn't end up burning his flash there, just used the tunnel to get away. But all in all, we haven't seen much pressure coming out from this Rek'Sai. I think of Rek'Sai as someone who wants to be ganking pre-6 and applying that pressure. Great gank angles, great opportunity to be aggressive, and this game's just been very slow so far. And the only real advantage is we're seeing Icon with the CS discrepancy in favor of him, and also now LNG have a Dragon and that Herald. This seems very LNG favored with what their game plan typically is.
Yep, feels like they can, at least for now, take things slow. And I will say, this Xerath, I don't know how many people have seen Xerath in their games more recently. It is still pretty strong. Even though it doesn't usually fit the meta for professional, it feels like it's something that can be aggressed upon and exposed. And certainly Icon is going to have a lot of threat from Xiaopeng and from Lang Xing in the fights later on. But, I mean, look at it. 20 CS lead individually in that mid lane right now. That's only going to get worse as the game goes on. And the damage you can do, the threat you can put onto isolated targets is terrifying from that Xerath.
I think the thing to look at with it is we saw some buffs come in a few patches ago for the Xerath, so he's doing a bit more damage. On top of that, when you look at TT's composition, there's a severe lack of engage. It's essentially the Rek'Sai and the Volibear running at you, or maybe like the Braum throwing a Glacial Fissure, but none of those really work against the likes of the Xerath unless you're finding a flank. So if we have a big team fight with a front to back, Icon will outrange everyone, Icon won't really be threatened, and Icon will scale extremely well. So if they're navigating and getting to that point of the game, this Xerath pick will pay off massively. And again, typically we see teams going for a faster pacing game, very skirmish focused, but if LNG are leaning into a team fight, this will pay off for them, and it really comes down to TT to set the pace a bit faster. They have managed to just take this dragon pretty easily, but ultimately that's their only real proactive play they've sort of been able to pull off is one dragon. It's not that significant.
That was really nice from TT, though, on the timing, because it was just as Icon went for a recall, he was going to TP back mid, ended up TPing towards the Drake, but by the time he was getting down there, it was too late already. And it means that he actually lost the wave mid as well off the back of it. So nicely done there by TT to find that small window of opportunity where Icon can't get priority, where, actually is able to push a wave in. And they can turn it into a Drake. Patch could be in trouble, though. The stun comes in, and well, there's not much of a way out from that one. That is a 13-minute almost first blood in this game as Tarzan grabs himself a couple of plates. Taking a blast of the arcane to the face right there. And Icon will continue to just shove these waves in and maintain this infinite prio that Xerath is going to bring to the game.
Yeah, I mean, the early levels, honestly, was fine. But here, you're outranged. It's a blue buff on the Xerath, so he's not been in any mana. And his Q is now maxed and pumping out a ton of damage. So very hard to stand up. Essentially just dodging all these abilities consistently. And, you know, Xiaopeng tries to threaten, but there was a ward already over that wall. Icon very much knew what he was dealing with and wasn't under threat.
So Patch dodges up, but realistically, there's no way out.
Just playing with fire a little bit, and ultimately, you're not going to be able to dodge the Nautilus ultimate, and he does end up getting caught out initially by the Xerath stun. A nice connection there from Icon. You saw Xiaopeng trying to sort of give him a handout, allowing him to jump to him, but went down a little bit too soon for that first blood.
So a little bit unfortunate there for Patch getting caught out, but not the end of the world. And just a singular kill for LNG. But I do want to return the conversation to those statistics that we brought up right at the start of the day, Dan. Because
love your numbers.
At the end of the day, I do love my numbers. Big bingo player, me. At the end of the day, LNG are a mid-game team, right? We're not used to seeing LNG building massive leads in the early games. So seeing this as a slow start, even against a team like TT, it's not a worrying situation. It's not like, oh my god, LNG aren't massively ahead, they're no longer a good team. This should be your expectation from LNG games. It's over the next couple of minutes. When we're getting towards the 20-minute mark, that's when LNG really come into their stride, and that's when TT have to start worrying.
And I mean, I would say that so far TT have kind of been characterized as an early game team. Like, that's where they have actually looked strong. You've seen games before this series where Xiaopeng's been on fire in the early game and then it's fallen apart after. So for this game to be slightly in favor of LNG is, you know, in terms of gold, feels very in favor in terms of how these teams play the game out and even the draft as well.
So I'm gonna ask you a question now, Hawks. I don't know why I'm prefacing with I'm gonna ask you a question, because you probably could have established yourself that it was a question just from tone of voice, and I believe in your ability to command the English language
when we're speaking, so you know.
That's true. That's true. What do you reckon about stuff like this Lulu mid? Do you think that it's something that's going to stick in the meta? I feel like some teams are experimenting with this, the Karma mid as well, but it doesn't feel like it's meta breaking to me right now. It doesn't feel like the kind of thing that is that difficult to draft against and to figure out. As soon as I start a conversation, immediately there is of course action. But yeah, returning to the point, what do you reckon?
I personally really like the Lulu mid for multiple reasons. We've seen quite a bit of it in Europe, and essentially the reason being is that it does pretty well in the laner phase. It's like a solid lane bully, and then during like the sort of mid-game, you can buff up your junglers, your skirmish-heavy champions. Things like the Jin Zhao is in particular something that people often try and pick with it. And then the late game, you can just buff up your AD carry. So I think it has like a really smooth curve where it's relevant throughout the game. And I think Lulu's generally powerful. And I think the big thing is, I'm not a fan of Lulu support, because I think it's okay with Kog'Maw, but for the most part, you're losing having a melee support who can walk around, impact the map with his sort of skirmishing power. And as a result, I much prefer it going into a solo lane. So I actually think it has a lot of value. The problem, though, is that you need to make sure you have sort of valuable picks to go with it. Typically, Jin Zhao in the jungle, and then an AD carry, something that like wants to be on the back line. And I'm not sure TT really have that with the Ezreal and the Rek'Sai, but they're going to test it out in this team fight.
We'll have to see if it's going to be good enough. Xiaopeng is the guy to keep your eyes on. The smite is too early, though, and Tarzan gets it now. Ults across the fight. In goes launching onto the back line. He's got a lot of threat, but he doesn't have any damage here. As LNG starts to kite back, Tarzan on this front line might be the first to go down in the fray. Xiaopeng jumps into the back of everyone, but he's stunned and just immediately blown up. It's a jungler for a jungler, but the Herald went the way of LNG.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that decision from Xiaopeng. I thought he was going to ult on a Tarzan, and then I see him just appear across the team fight and get instantly exploded. It is ultimately TT coming out. Actually, no, it wasn't. Sorry, it was LNG who managed to secure last shot.
The shield coming out from yet the last possible second. I thought that was a guaranteed kill onto Patch. Icon is absolutely robbed by his enemy mid laner.
Yep, and it's LNG who managed to pick up the Herald, and it's a 1-for-1 kill trade, so they can be more than happy with that one. We'll get the replay, so ultimately both top laners buy a ton of time. You can see the ult comes out there from Ale, and then he just disrupts 4 people single-handedly, while on the other side, we see Longxing do the same. He's just buying time for the rest of his team to push up, but it initially starts to feel like TT have the favor. Sam D is untouched, the Lulu's getting value, but then I thought he was going to ult Tarzan, honestly. This decision coming out for Xiaopeng a little bit int, but in the end it is a 1-for-1. They do manage to translate into a dragon, but once more LNG took Herald and it slows down the game.
Look, when you're a team like TT, you gotta take it in turns sometimes. We've seen all of the other players on TT sprint it plenty of times. It was Xiaopeng's turn. He was like, look guys, I can't be having us winning an actual series. That's unacceptable. Not against the #1 team of the LPL. I'm going to take this one into my own hands. I mean, to be fair to him, he did nearly finish Ali, But really nice stun coming out from Icon to deny that play. We're going to be trading tier 1s across the map here, going down at almost exactly the same time. It was TT that will get that little gold boost for the first tower of the game going their way, which is kind of crazy. But we've only seen 2 towers going down as we head towards the 20-minute mark. There's only been 3 kills. This has been a slow start for both teams as Icon is starting to scale into things. As we just get a case study right there in front of our screen. 1Q doing a third of Sandy's health at this point.
Yeah, and it's not going to get better when he gets to Horizon Focus. It is only going to get worse. This Xerath is just going to be able to snipe people. And the thing is, you won't even necessarily have to fight. You just poke someone out before the fight. It's like, okay, job's done. We get the objective. The objective right now for LNG looks to be that mid tower. This Herald will kill it in 1 hit. And that really allows the map to open up for them. And the thing is with the Xerath is if you take out that mid tier 1, you can shove pretty deep and force TT back.
And I think one of the key things is that it's really safe to shove the lane at Xerath, right? Same deal with like your Ziggs mids, any of these artillery mages. You can push the wave very quickly with just 1 or 2 spell rotations. So you can just get it gone and get out of there and not be under any threat yourself. So it feels like a pick that can really open the map up, as you say, once that tier 1 has gone down. See, Ale is on the bottom half of the map right now. So is Lunching, but Lunching has TP advantage. So TT could make a winning play up towards the top side.
You could potentially look for a window.
Xerath,
I do believe Xerath's looking for Sam D. Oh, this is not a fun time for the Ezreal. And the thing is, now you have the Ezreal resetting. You're going to be down on members on the map. They are looking for this play, but there's both Light and I1D. I think they're just going to be able to defend this, and ultimately TT just have to back away. And again, it just feels like the pressure is being shut down. When I think of Rek'Sai, and I think of, in particular, Xiaopeng, I think of a champion where you want to see him getting multiple kills in the early game, getting the pressure down. And what I'm seeing now is a 2-0 Xerath who's just making everyone on TT's life hell. You can see in the replay in the bottom right, very close to Sam D going down. I believe he dodged away one of them to keep alive, but there's no one who can even get close to this Xerath right now.
And I think there's 2 important things to mention there. First off, heal being used by Sam D. Second off, he's running the Striker Ezreal skin. Football players, very good at diving, so able to get out of the way of the incoming bolts. And I guess Sam D, big fan of the Euro Cup that's going on right now. There's England playing Scotland later, by the way, to decide whether we make it out of the groups. A little bit nervous about that one. Are you a football fan, Dan?
Not massively, I'll be honest. I'm sorry to let you down. It's not a big thing.
I'm not a huge fan either, but when it comes to the internationals, I'm there. I'm wearing my 3 lions. But here we go. Speaking of animals, Dragon coming up in a minute and a half in one of the most ham-fisted segues you've ever heard. We're 22 minutes into this one, and it's a Cloud Soul. So it does feel like this is probably going to continue to be a pretty slow one out of these 2 teams.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, LNG don't necessarily need to contest this Dragon if they don't want to, but they could. I feel like at this point, got some nice spikes coming in, honestly, from both sides. You can look at the Shield Bow and the Runans from Light. On the other side, we've got the Divine Thunder Manamune, Chemtech Purifier, and the Chevaliers and the Lulu. I feel kind of confident in TT's team fighting, so I think LNG, if you find some poke, great. If you don't, you might actually be comfortable with just leaving this Dragon and potentially just establishing some pressure someone else. You could threaten the Baron area and maybe get them to bait in, but right now they're just trying to look for that mid-prio.
LNG trying to set up, trying to fight for mid-prio so that they can contest the Dragon, but right now, river control in favor of TT. Ale, Strikebreaker forward, but Sam D's able to zip away for himself. It's I1D looking for a hook, but launching, kind of baiting the idea. He's like, you know what? I'm okay if you hook me, but hang on. There's
this
an
isn't my
extent to
team.
which he was okay. I'm not sure that was the right direction to go. Has to ult out. The knock up from the depth charge will go in, though. Sky Splitter down to try and zone the team away. Tarzan is now caught out separate from his team. Good chunk of damage goes in as Ale is there to zone away. Lunching. It cost him his ult, but he's still good. He's still healthy in this one as Drake started up by TT now and LNG desperate to contest, but not really able to get any of this poke down from the Xerath that we've been talking about. Everyone's still healthy on TT, and it means this will be a 3rd Drake in the game for them. Now Soul Point in favor of TT.
Yeah, I mean, good play from them. I think the critical thing that gave them favor was the fact that they got there early and they secured control of the area. A lack of vision makes it very difficult to poke because essentially you're firing relatively blind and Icon wasn't able to land anything. And in fact, we actually saw Sam D getting a fair bit of poke down in return. And you saw that although Longsheng nearly got caught out, he's able to get away. The poke comes down, the dragon's secured. Don't even need to win a fight at the back of this. And this is with a goal disadvantage.
Kind of crazy to think about, but it does feel like with this Lulu, with the Braum, and an Ezreal, it's very difficult to engage onto TT, right? They have so many ways out of the fight, and even the Mikhails as well coming through. Oh, not the Mikhails, sorry, the Shirelias coming out from to be able to have that extra disengage tool. So Iwandi has to try and find those right targets, and we need to see a lot of damage coming out from Icon before the fight ever happens. But as we said before, no damage came out from Icon, basically. It was all just completely mitigated. It feels like it's becoming a challenge for LNG in this mid-game. They do have the Kalista, though. Once again, I feel like I say it every Kalista game. The Baron threat is very real from the side of LNG with a the Xin Zhao there as well. You got good DPS to burn through the purple worm. And you could see TT respecting that as Sam D altered that just a few seconds ago.
Yeah, I think the thing is they're never going to do the Baron when TT can contest it because trapping yourself in the pit like that, very dangerous. But as you said, they can easily look to rush it if the vision drops over there, so TT have to maintain that. And the problem is, I don't see much of a window where TT can do the Baron themselves because Icon firing his artillery over the wall just makes it so impossible to deal with. So right now, again, feeling this way for quite a while in this game. Bit of a stalemate. I feel like you've sold me a bit wrong on the LPL here, Joe, because you were telling me, hype, action, team fights.
No. This is the LCK. Wait, no, you turned up for the wrong broadcast. No,
Oh my, that's so embarrassing.
A kill every 10 minutes. That's our motto. As we're 3 at 25, we're looking for 30 before another kill comes in.
Okay.
This might be a tower taken by TT. They're toying with the idea. They're thinking about it. Light set to clear the wave, though, and LNG maybe looking for an engage. TP, I think that's from Icon, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure about his Zera 3 arriving.
Thank God we didn't have any kills. We're pacifists here. We don't like wanton action. We don't want things to happen in our League of Legends.
We like slow games, lots of control, teams looking at each other, but interacting minimally is the goal.
It's about,
well, at least for LNG right now.
It's about the threat of action, It's about the presence. It's about posture. It's like baboons when they stand up on their hind legs and like pound their chests and stuff. It's that kind of thing. They don't really want to fight. They just want to scare the other guy off.
Honestly, I think TT have done a decent job of scaring LNG around a fair bit of this game. Do you have Dragon coming up in 2 minutes? This would be soul for TT. And it's going to be a little bit short of that 30-minute time, so not scheduled for another kill, but we may end up seeing some action anyway.
I'm not going to hold my breath. I know that you're suggesting that might happen.
I'm hoping.
Could it happen? Are we going to see a kill? That is the question. I'm not sure that you can dive a Volibear, to be honest. I think this might be a little overzealous to send both solo laners down here. They're trying to guarantee priority for the Drake that's coming up in just over a minute. Does TT make a play? Flash away from Light. It's going to be Tarzan in the mid lane to try and protect this tower. It's on literally 1 HP, but it will survive for now. Iwandi threatening as well. Just walks in, shields himself, gets an auto in. TT, have they overextend for this one? LNG look like they want to punish, but it's not going to happen. They're just going to go mid, play the way.
And the big difference here is now LNG have the established vision in the area, and now it's up to TT to approach. And it's very difficult to do when you're up against the Zeros, because every brush you face check, you're probably going to get lasered. And as soon as you get poked out enough, you're just going to have to back away and just not end up going for the Dragon. Right now, we do see TT leaning towards that Baron, trying to pull LNG away. The ward will spot them going into the pit, but they don't necessarily have the information of whether it started. Obviously, we can't see that. Scry will come out, and now TT there. You can see Xiaopeng's running over to try and get to the Dragon area. He wants to contest his vision.
Look, we've got another minute and a half until we are due a kill. It's only 1 per 10 minutes here in the LPL, okay? So these guys do have to hold themselves back for a little bit longer, but with Drake coming up, I'm going to throw the memes aside. We've had many near kills in the last couple of minutes. It feels like the tension is high, but TT, they're going to respect the rules. They're going to accept that they cannot fight for this one right now. They can't risk violence here on Summoner's Rift.
Yep. 1 minute to go before we're scheduled for the next kill, but I mean, I think this is a scenario where it shows the value of having that vision control. LNG get the control early. TT can't even look to contest it. But now I think potentially they've backed away into this jungle. LNG unwilling to face check. And so they're just going to push mid up. And I think TT know they can't really threaten the Baron right now with all members of LNG up on the map. So they'll take top tower and they'll go for a reset. And this should just cost them that mid lane tier 2.
Yeah, Light has gone for the red buff though, so without an AD carry, it looks like they will still have enough damage to Tarzan and ally there. Will be the mid lane tier 2 traded for a top lane tier 1. Lan Xing though is not afraid. He did not reset with his team. He's sticking around just in case Xiaopeng ends up in trouble. Xiaopeng's still pushing in that top side. He's crashed the wave here. He's looking to get damage onto the tower. He will not back away at any cost. We're getting to 30 minutes and he knows it. So he's sticking around. He's looking for a fight now.
I didn't expect to see a split push Rek'Sai. That wasn't really what I was looking towards. But the rest of the team has come off the reset and is pushing to match. And now, I mean, I don't think you're taking this tower when Icon's there.
Well, TT have other ideas, Mr. Orcs. Call yourself a color caster. Ha! The tower has gone down. TT, they always know best.
Yeah, I mean, they managed to force it down. They take that tier 2. Quite a bit of trading going on. Still no kills, but this does mean that it's quite easy for LNG to push in and get control of that red side jungle of LNG. You see they've already scattered down a ton of wards. They are going for the reset, and I think they want to reestablish again. If TT can get LNG to face check and ideally get a flank onto Icon, that is their win condition. But if they aren't able to do so, then I feel like things will probably just end up being LNG favored. You can see the gold, a source of gold.
It's a little different to last game, isn't it? Just a little bit.
Yep.
Oh, dear.
37.
Last game, most of his gold was from kills. He had more gold from kills than from jungle monsters. This time, not so much. Much more about the farm this time around. 225 there, doing more than his mid lane. I will say, quick moment, shout out to Sam D, who's on 350 CS at 30 minutes. Pretty impressive from him. As Light just going to zip away into the base. Xiaopeng's moved up to the top side. And we continue the waltz around Baron.
I think that's the thing, is that obviously the Lulu doesn't need as much farm at this point, so you can kind of just funnel into the Ezreal, but I'm not as confident in like an Ezreal Lulu combo as I would be as other AD carries. A lot of the attack speed based crit AD carries can do really well with the buff from a Lulu. Ezreal, he's kind of pretty independent for the most part. Do you see LNG again? They aren't looking to move through the jungle. They know the risks that entails with being with face check and potentially being flanked, so they just push mid once more.
Yeah, Ally gets about a third of the tower's health down as Xiaopeng just trying to clear vision. And this pressure in mid lane will buy space around the Baron once again for LNG. They can move in and get some vision, but Trisha Barrage doing a good chunk onto Icon. Obviously, being an artillery mage, he has no sustain in his kit whatsoever, has no items he can buy that will give him sustain either. So we'll have to potentially reset. Does have his TP available though if he does need to go for that. But minute and 20 until another Drake comes up, Dan. And it feels like that could be the moment. Oh, it's tense, isn't it? We keep on saying this is going to be the moment where a fight happens. We are scheduled for a kill any minute.
This could be the moment where maybe there is some action in this game, or maybe not, depending on how the teams feel. But you know,
doesn't it feel like a season 2 game or like a season 3 game? Where it was all about, like, the most exciting thing would be how many CS would the mid laner get by 20 minutes. That was the most exciting thing we'd see every single game back then. And it feels like that once again.
I mean, yeah. I mean, this has been a slow game, and I think it's so wild. Because coming into it, I'm like, you got the Kalista Nautilus bot lane, you've got the Rek'Sai, you've got the Xin Zhao. I'm like, this is going to have some pace on it, but apparently not at all. It's just slow and steady, which, as we said, coming into this, LNG like the slower pace. They tend to lead into that mid game. We're past the mid lane. This is very much the late game at this point we're getting into. Yeah. But still, LNG feeling confident with that Xerath scaling up.
At the end of the day, Dan, I don't want to get too philosophical on you, but we all know the story of the hare and the tortoise. Slow and steady wins the race, okay? The tortoise wins it at the end of the day. But the damage onto LNG, that's half of his health gone. Right before Drake comes up, remember, this is soul point for TT. If they can get this Drake, that will be the Cloud Soul for them. Certainly not a game ender, but remember, light on the Callistic. He's stacking those Rens up. It's going to be difficult for Xiaopeng to win a smite fight in this situation, but the Drake on 3,000. LNG not quite willing to commit to it. Looking for a fight in the backline. Ale goes in. We're due a killer. We might just get one for ourselves. Patch taking down, flashes away though. Icon off of the backline as well. He gets out with his life. Xiaopeng chasing him. True shot barrage across the whole team. We got a few near kills, and that might be as good as it gets, but Iwandi has a stopwatch, keeps himself alive. Flash available. Can't get over the wall. He goes down. We've got a kill. A kill actually happened, and Patch goes down. That's 2 supports for the price of 1. The shot's coming in onto TT as they go back onto the Drake, and I think this isn't done just yet as Ale looking for a re-engage. Into the pit he goes. It's going to be a smite fight. 9 HP and LNG get the Drake for themselves. Xiaopeng goes down, and TT have to run off into their own jungle.
I mean, massively over budget with 3 kills coming through there, but we finally get a team fight coming out, and it looked messy. And I honestly felt like LNG maybe in a difficult spot, but they made some great decisions in that one. They're able to push back in, they're able to get the dragon, and they come out favorably in that scenario. Definitely a messy one. So initially, the engage isn't actually that great from the side of LNG. They do catch Sam D, but he quickly is able to move out, and then this is what I'm concerned about. Icon being flanked. He doesn't get taken out by Xiaopeng there, and then we see Longxing unable to get on top of him, and this retreat here is so good from LNG. They don't want to chase into a poke for the side of TT, into a choke, sorry, so they back away, but, you know, I'm still talking, the replay's still going. We got another fight on our hands, Joe.
All right, they're looking to make up for lost time. Tarzan is real low in the pit right now. He's in big trouble. In goes Longxing. This is the perfect fight for TT, but the knock-up on the backline. Sam D's in trouble. The shot's coming in. Light on the backline. 1 HP, and he survives. Yeah, chases him down, finishes the kill, but at the cost of his own life, surely. As he gets into the jungle, gets the shield, gets out. Manages to survive, but now TT re-engaging. It's complete chaos, and TT, they've actually come out on top.
Yeah, I mean, TT managed to find it, and somehow, yeah, survives on like 1 HP there. Super messy fighting coming out, and like you said, they are making up for lost time here. Both teams skirmishing like crazy. The difference in this one, though, we see Icon go down, the Xerath gets taken out, and as a result, TT actually able to find some success. Man, what a mess, though.
Playing with fire there. Yeah, what a fight. To be honest, I missed half of what happened there. We came in late from the replay, and then it was already pure chaos on 2 different fronts. Absolutely mental here. 3 minutes until the next Drake, and it feels like reset from both teams. So with the call.
LNG getting a little bit bored here, decide to start the Baron, which results in Tarzan getting chunked out. And then this engage looks good, but watch Light just going so aggressive onto the Ezreal. They manage to get the kill despite the polymorph. And then it's who takes them out, and then it looks super LNG favored, but they leave Icon alone. They're chasing the Lulu, so Icon gets taken out by the duo of Xiaopeng and Longxing, and then we see the chase unable to be continued. And I think the big mistake there from LNG was by starting the Baron, they ended up in the pit. Very easy for TT to engage, and very hard for them to protect Icon. If Icon goes down, I feel like their chances in teamfights drop pretty substantially as well.
Yeah, he is going to be a massive portion of their damage. Look at the items he's got already. 3.5. I say already. 37 minutes into the game. Maybe already is not quite the right word. But yeah, 3.5 items. He's got a needlessly large rod as well. He'll be able to head towards a death cap if he should so wish. And I want to quickly mention something. I don't think it's... Xiaopeng, you cheeky devil. I don't think it'll impact anything in this game, but you can actually buy stacks on a Seraphs these days. Ever since the new item rework, I can't remember exactly how much it costs. I think it's like 2,000 gold or something. But if you buy a Seraph, Seraph's Embrace later on in the game, or an Archangel Staff, sorry, you can upgrade it to a Seraph's for gold. It doesn't just have to be spellcasts. So that is something that later on in this season, if this ends up becoming the meta, and we have these super long, super slow games, maybe that's something that ends up coming into the meta to min-max 6-item builds.
I really hope that doesn't end up being the case, because honestly, I enjoy the hypey skirmishes, and they were delayed, but we are starting to get them now. You see the goal in front of us.
I can't believe this is your first series in the LPL. You come to the bloody LPL of all regions, and this is the series that you get for yourself. TT upsetting LNG, and then game 3 is literally the slowest game we've had probably all season. It's just, it's too funny.
You know what? I am grateful for the opportunity, because honestly, we just get to spend more time together, Joe. We get to chill.
We get to
have a good time. Exactly. And we get to see some League of Legends, we'll call it that. That's as much as I'm willing to say. Oh, Sam D only gets hit by 1 there with the fancy footwork, thanks to his little
It's not League of Legends. It's Sam D dodging simulator. That's what it is. Here we go. LA looking for an engage. Hook goes wide from iWandy, and we'll all back away. True Shot Barrage hits onto Icon. That is a lot of damage. We're going full flex tape here. 15 seconds until the Cloud Drake comes up. This would be solved for either team now. We could have a smite fight on our hands. Icon has the TP, so he's going to try and get a cheeky little recall off and re-enter the fray once more, but a ward spots out that whole LNG squad moving over here. TP channeled by Icon. He's back in the fray once again. Xiaopeng into the pit. He went too early to try and go for the smite fight. Light stacking up the rents in the meantime. Showstopper into the fight from Ale. Gets onto the back line. Can they finish this one off? Xiaopeng is there onto Icon. Zhonya's comes out. Lanxing is on the back line as well. But Ale and Xiaopeng fighting up on the top side of this one. Lanxing turns golden. Icon gets out with his life. This fight is the longest in the history of the game as Ale finally falls. It's a kill for TT, and they want a bit more as well. True Shot Barrage. iWandy barely gets out. Gets to the other side of the minion wave. The Prey Seeker won't be there. Light is there. Tarzan is there. Icon's recalling in the enemy jungle right now. It's only a singular kill, but TT win the fight.
TT crushed that fight. Honestly, Lanxing doing so much on the back line there. I am amazed it only came away with 1 kill, but they managed to secure the Cloud Soul, that extra movement speed. A nice addition, not necessarily game-changing, but definitely won't complain about that one. They are moving over the Baron area to establish Envision, but again, more complete chaos. And I think we expected LNG to come into these late games and feel confident around this Xerath, but Icon is struggling to find safety in these ones. Now, Baron started, TPA available for Ale, and he's up in 7 seconds.
Oh, TP behind the team of LNG, though. Lanxing looking to make an impact in this game. iWandy pulled out by the face call. Knockups across the team. Ale TPing in onto the backline. Yeah, going to be knocked up. There's the shots in from Icon, but Lanxing gets onto him in the backline. Xiaopeng is huge. Lanxing is huge, but not huge enough. Ale saves the day, gets onto Lanxing. That's 3 kills for LNG and a potential Baron opportunity.
Yeah, wave played out mid, so don't think they'll be able to end in this situation. They will just have to go towards the Baron. Long death timers, but TT avoid losing the game there. But now, Baron in hand for LNG and a pretty convincing teamfight win. I think TT just made the wrong call. You could see they knew the top lane if LNG was down. They wanted to start a fight before he was available, but he had TP up. He wasn't going to take long before he joined, and Sam D just completely caught out of position. 2 supports was not enough to save him in that one. And we'll get to see it on the replay, so really just watch Sam D in this situation, hone in him, because he is such a massive part of the team fighting power for this side of TT. He starts to move up here, and then we see this Naught Assault catching with Tarzan on top of him. Light splashing forwards to take him down, and as soon as he's gone, there isn't enough sustained damage for this team. Honestly, Lanxing doing his lion's share of work taking down Icon, but there's no way you win with Sam D dying that early.
Really nicely done by LNG. These long extended fights like that bought time for Ale to be able to TP into the fray. And now Baron for 2.5 minutes here, available for LNG. And Xerath incredibly good at forcing a siege, but it does feel like LNG is going to be difficult to push into enemy territory here. And Dan, I have a feeling we may be going towards that Elder Drake that's going to be coming up in 3.5 minutes. I've got a feeling that might be the way that this game ends.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of agree with you. I feel like there's not much to be gained from LNG pushing up and sieging. I think they're a little bit scared of potentially getting flanked by Lanxing again. And ultimately, there's no one who can really hit the tower easily because Callista is so short range. So I feel like we're probably just for the rest of this Baron going to be getting a little bit of ping-ponging. Although, as I'm saying, that TP coming in, potentially they're looking to
really
set up for something.
Yeah, Icon has just based. He TP'd in and got hit by True Shot Barrage immediately. That's a really important chunk, actually. But it's a death cap in the pocket of Icon. That is such a huge spike for him with as many items as he has. It's a massive increase in his AP. So any Qs that come down on Sam D before a fight will do massive damage.
Yeah, but do you see LNG making the move up towards top where there is that last, well, that tier 2 tower still available? Light should just be able to push this in. TT trying to respond. And again, it feels like LNG unable to really approach. They need poke from Icon if they're really going to be able to do something, but it's not quite connecting. They have the shielding from Lulu as well. It looks like they will be able to take this tower, but all things considered, it doesn't really change the state of the game very much. The gold, very unsubstantial at the moment, and the impact on the map is limited. Now, Engage coming in mid.
Yeah, pick onto Ale here, showstoppers to try and get himself out to safety. Haymaker could be available here for him. Gets himself a small shield. He's just trying to buy time. He's trying to survive if he can. Deadman's Plate kicking in. They do chase him down in the end. I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to sprint on out of that one. But Ale picked off. It's a full minute on the death timer. But luckily for Ale, there's no Baron on the map. There's no Elder Drake on the map. Can TT siege some towers and try and find an inhib will be the question.
Yeah, I think there's a bit too much wave clear. They could try and dive, but it's so risky right now, even with Ale down. Might give it a go. And actually, it looks like just the threat of the dive is enough to push them away. Icon can't even get range to clear this wave out, so Inhibitor gonna go.
They threaten the dive and it works out. LNG going to respect it. Now, yeah, getting chunked though. This is the thing. Icon's able to get a lot of poke damage down. The shots coming in. He's still got two more. Yeah, getting low, but will survive the wild growth, the shields, the heal from Sam D, the shield coming out from Patch as well. Everything used to keep the mid laner alive for TT, but now vision control can be established here by LNG in the river.
Yeah, I feel like this was a mistake. Going for the inhibitor doesn't net you that much of an advantage in this situation, as Xerath is really easily going to be able to handle the wave clear. And with Elder being up so soon, I think the correct decision would have been to move into river, get control of that blue side jungle when you have a man advantage, clear out all the vision, and then establish control over the area. By ending up in that scenario and being forced to reset, this gives LNG more of a window to establish vision control. And we've seen in these earlier fights, the team who has vision control tends to be favored because obviously the Xerath can land that poke with vision, or obviously without is pretty limited. Now, do you see Longsheng pushing that top wave in to apply a bit of pressure there? Or do you see Icon has reset once more?
We have to get everyone over here because Elder is coming up in 15 seconds, and surely you gotta believe this is the kind of fight that's gonna end the game. 10 seconds until that spawns. TT are the ones that have control right now. The LNG one that can test. Orcs, tell me, what do we gotta look out for when this fight kicks off?
Does Icon survive? Can he get the damage off? And Sam D, those two are the main carries in this situation.
All right, keeping my eyes on Icon, on Sam D. We'll see if these carries can survive the rest of the teams. If they can peel, in goes Longsheng. Keep your eyes on Light at the back line, dancing around, trying to get the stacks up onto Longsheng. Icon still going strong on the backside as Ale gets onto the back line himself. Pulls in Sam D, but the rest of the team not following up with the damage. Longsheng going low. Haymaker across the team, but Ale first to fall. TT going strong. Still 5 members here. Is Tarzan on the front line, trying to keep himself alive. Shots out from Icon, but he just isn't able to do it. Now the volley's coming on in. Can he finish Sam D? He does get him into the GA, but he can't finish the kill. There's one down. There's 2 down for Icon. The Xerath coming in huge. Light tears one down as Patch falls, and Sam D in a 1 versus 3, jumping up forwards. One more Q and finish off the Xerath. Can he finish the kills? In goes the W. Sam D still going strong. Tarzan falls. He's looking to get onto Icon as well. Sam D pushing forward, but the Q lands from Icon. Sam D is looking for a top lane inhib right now as Light wants a 1v1. GA in his pocket, but the inhib falls, and Sam D will get out with his life.
Oh my god, what a tense fight. Both of them, the main carries end up surviving and doing so much work for their respective teams. It's such a close one. Sam D nearly cleaning up, but just not quite able to get in range. And now the resets are coming in. You can see Light doesn't care about those minions on that Nexus tower. They are looking straight towards the Elder Dragon. And I don't think really there's much of a chance of TT contesting. Yeah, I mean, TT is still 10 seconds on the death timers. There is teleports, but Ale is there sooner. And again, with the Kalista stacking up, they aren't too concerned about this being stolen. They have a way of securing it. It should just be Elder for LNG.
Oh my goodness gracious. That true shot barrage We're so close to trying to get it. Good effort from Sam D. He's doing his utmost to try and carry this game. Zerathor comes out from Icon right to the Arcane with the Dragon Lasers is a terrifying ability. But with that on cooldown, means the Baron gets started here. Ale has to be the one to face check. He is damn tanky and he can walk into this river to make sure TT know that this won't go for free.
Have to back away.
Baron resetting once more. TT have to back off. Ale on the bot side, Langxing, sorry, on the bot side with TP available. And TT gonna restart once more. Yeah, is pretty low on HP right now, and Icon can continue to layer damage into the pit. Remember, Elder Dragon in the pocket for LNG. I feel like they need to just force the fight. Iwandi goes in. Baron taken down now. As Patch will jump out, and LNG. I just completely indecisive.
I mean, TT got away with murder there. They saw Tarzan in the mid lane trying to handle the super minions, so they kept restarting the Baron again and again, and LNG, unwilling or unable to engage, end up just giving over the Baron. Now, we see this re-engage. Icon doesn't actually get connected on instantly, and as much as he gets stunned, there's so much destruction he's not followed up on. But you see Sam D just consistently layering down damage, pretty much unthreatened with those two supports near him, and they start to find momentum in the fight. But Icon is still up, and every single time he lands a Q, it does so much damage. And in these messy grouped up fights, it's so hard to avoid it. Does throw down the ult, and actually, thanks to that root coming through, Sam D does get put into his GA. But Icon, like, see these scenarios where he's able to hit multiple people. If he's unchecked, he just does so much work.
And it felt like it's once went down, that's when Icon could actually start to get involved in a fight. And I feel like if LNG just back away here instead of trying to 3v1 Sam D, maybe they get more off of the play. But now, with Baron, means TT can start to siege. The wave clear coming out from Icon is nowhere near as effective when you're against those Baron minions. You can see they're pushed all the way into the base. Ale having to back away. Elder, I think, still up on a couple of members here from the side of LNG, but only for another 12 seconds. Yeah, and then we'll reset once more.
It's going quickly, and the thing is, they haven't really gotten anything from it. They got the Elder Dragon, they went to Baron, Baron got taken. Elder Dragon's timed out now, and it feels like TT's, you know, they still have a minute 15 on that Baron. They can try and apply pressure, and with top lane inhibitor down and that mid lane inhibitor exposed, LNG have to be really careful, because if the base falls apart, they will struggle to get control of this game once more.
Feels difficult for TT to push in here, and I just want to remind everyone of the stakes of this game. We're in game 3 of the first series of the day. This is only the first series. And this is the first team in the LPL of LNG up against the 17th in TT. We are beyond 50 minutes into this game. If you're only just joining us, it's been a long one, and it's all coming to a head. TT desperate for their first series win of the split so far as the mid lane inhib getting low. TT pushing in the bottom side as well, but they don't have a minion wave. It's finally arriving here. I think the mid lane inhib will eventually fall down. Light is on the top side right now, dealing with super minions, which should mean TT can break open these inhibs, push into the base and make things happen. Xiaopeng gets the mid inhib. The bot one should go down. Surely this will be the triple inhib for TT, as they're just desperate to get one or two more autos in. Icon doing his best to get the poke down. Iwandi forced back to the Nexus. And it means that TT finished the 3 inhibs. But they're not looking to reset down. I thought they were all going to recall. Here we go. TP from Ale on the flank. Wants to make the play happen. Can he get the showstopper? Sam D pulled in the wrong direction. The stuns come through. The knockup is going to be there. The Zerathor landing, and Sam D's gone down. This is the moment for LNG to turn the fight around, to turn the game around, and get themselves into this one. Ale trying to chase down, but Patch dodges the pullback. And it's just going to be the singular kill. And now defending the base once more.
Oh, nice flank though coming out from Ale there. It buys them time. They take out Sam D, the critical target. TT instantly understand that they can't contest the fight and have to back away. Top lane inhibitor has respawned, and honestly, LNG have a lot of wave clear. A Kalista with Runans and that Xerath as well. They can just burn through these waves pretty consistently, and it looks like they want to make a move towards mid. But you see Xiaopeng being a nuisance on the top side of the map. I think for now he is going to back off, and they want to look to defend. Mid lane inhibitor tower is going to go down.
Dan, they have 30 seconds to play with right here. LNG might just be able to close things out right now. LNG pushing in. They're going to get the mid in here. 20 seconds until Samdi's up. Launching, pull in. Damage coming out from Icon. The front line is tanky from TT. But I don't know if it's going to be good enough because they're just focusing on the towers. They might be able to end the game as LNG get onto the Nexus. And against everything, TT fall at the final hurdle. And LNG remain undefeated in the LPL.
What a call coming out from LNG. They know Sam D is everything in these team fights for the side of TT. And as soon as he's down, even with the rest of the team, they just ignore them. They push mid, they end the game with 4 people watching. And it was not clean. It was not convincing, but they do close out the series 2-1.
And I was about to say, what a performance out from LNG, but honestly, a disappointing performance out from LNG. Even in the wake of this win moment, if you're a fan of LNG at home, you got to be watching this one with bated breath, right? You got to be real nervous moving forward off the back of that win, because at the end of the day, they came in today. We saw Ale had his t-shirt tucked into his trousers. We saw them giggling. We saw them strutting around the stage with pure confidence. And they leave the stage haggard battle veterans from this slugfest against TT.
And I think you got to give credit to TT. We came to the series saying this is a team with a lot of issues. We expect LNG to absolutely crush this, and they made it a series. They got their first match win, even if they didn't get the full series, and they were able to make LNG look rough and make them really commit a lot to win out that game. So honestly, if we see TT continuing this trajectory, I definitely think they'll be picking up a series soon and potentially getting themselves back into contention.
Exceptional series right there. I don't know if I can come away with any positives for LNG getting that win. Like, the expectation was a clean 2-0. The expectation was a fast series, and what we got was quite the exact opposite of that one. And I think huge positives for TT, right, moving forward. Maybe this is a team that can get some big results onto the board off the back of this, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of reeling off the back of this one. The fact that we just had a 50-minute game in season 11, that alone is kind of crazy. And then when you consider the teams, when you consider the stakes, that really, I mean, Dan, how was your first series of the LPL? It was a bit of a banger.
Yeah, it was a banger. It was a lot longer than I expected, honestly, but I enjoyed it, and I think I'm glad we have more good things to say about TT, because we honed in on that Xiaopeng factor, and he was a massive factor in that game too. But I think we had good things to say about everyone. Everyone felt improved from their previous series, and I felt like the whole team had made a complete effort. You know, the early game was something we'd already seen them do well at, but we started to see them hold up well in the mid and late game. You look at that third game, and as much as they did end up losing it, that was where we were saying this is LNG's prime point. This is where they normally excel when it gets in the later stages of the game. They managed to hold up and make some good decisions. I don't like, there was the moment where they managed to take the Baron despite enemy team having an Elder. I think this team is incomparable with what we've seen before, and it's definitely a massive positive, even if on the scoreboard they ended up losing this one. For LNG, I think we got to look at the early game. We got to ask the questions. We're playing in a meta where early mid game has so much impact in terms of those skirmishing champions, and we see LNG playing a pretty passive game. I think there's a lot of teams who, if they play like this, would absolutely steamroll them, and I feel like their winning streak liable to come to an end if they don't shore up those problems.
And I just think that the draft had a weird identity, right, with this Xerath coming in that really was not the same style of gameplay that the rest of the team wanted to play. Icon with 65,000 damage across that one, up against that 47,000 from Sam D, who was doing his utmost to try and win those fights. But it did feel like Sam D and Icon were the two carries by the end of things. Like, Light was not doing any damage. It felt like Light was essentially just another CC bot being able to pull I1D and give him an extra knockup. It
felt like Light's job was flash on Sam D and try and kill him. That's what he did every team fight. And credit to Icon. Game 2 is a little bit of an exception. We'll pretend that one didn't happen. But Game 1 and Game 3, he was absolutely on fire. Definitely doing pulling a lot of weight in terms of like a solo carry performance with his backup dancers just as his entourage. Obviously a bit of a rough one on the set, but he shows what he can do on these mages more than anything. Strong laning phase, and then in the late game, absolutely on fire.
Yeah, that was definitely a series from LNG. I don't want to make any statements about it. I feel like that series was too long and too stressful for me to pull any real conclusions from it. I'm going to leave that to other analysts when they talk about it. Go check out like Dom's co-stream or something or something like that, because I have nothing that I can say off of the back of that one. It feels like both TT leveled up, but also feels like LNG did not have the greatest series of their lives, and there's definitely something to be wanted there. We're going to go to a break, though. We've got another series coming your way. It's 1 p.m. here in the UK, and we've only just finished our first series. We're going to RA versus Top Esports. That'll be coming up after the break, and I expect that one to be just as good. We'll find out if it is right after this.